Welcome to another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. I'm your host, Keandra Jones. This podcast educates, ignites inspiration, fosters encouragement, and paves the way for growth among small businesses and the overall Oak Cliff community. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Dallas Zoo, Home Care Network, Breakfast Brothers, and Serve Pro. Thank you for your support. Now, let's get into it. Joining us today is State Representative Venton Jones, who is serving his second term in the Texas House of Representatives, representing House District 100, which includes South Dallas, West Dallas, East Dallas, Victory Park, and Oak Cliff. A Dallas native and longtime community advocate, Representative Jones is also the founder and CEO of Southern Black Policy and Advocacy Network and a Texas realtor. With more than 20 years' experience in healthcare access, affordable housing, economic development, voting rights, and community advocacy, he brings a deep understanding of issues impacting working families and communities across Texas. Joining us today is my friend, State Representative Venton Jones. How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
I am good. I'm so excited about today because you have all kinds of things going on in your life. All kinds of things. So, are we going to talk about professional first or personal first?
You pick. Let's where do you want to go with this?
I mean, let's start with professional, maybe.
Let's do it.
All the things. First of all, you know what, Venton? Let's talk about us first.
Okay.
Let's talk about our love affair first. How long have we known each other? Do you know?
I think it's approached like 5 years.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was around the time that I was moving back to Dallas from DC. And we met in Willis Johnson's office,
Yes.
JBJ Management.
Yes. And I absolutely not only fell in love with you, but Greg, from the absolute moment that I met both of y'all. Y'all are my people.
Yes.
You know, I've had people even ask if we're related. And we might be, y'all. I don't know.
The Joneses.
The Joneses. We are the Joneses. But, okay, so question for you, my first one.
Okay.
Who is Venton Jones outside of all of your accomplishments? Who are you?
I am just a little black boy from Oak Cliff. I love my city, and I love being of service to my city, and having the ability to travel, around this country, doing, amazing work, and bringing that back home to the neighborhood, literally the neighborhood that I grew up in, is in, like, the honor of my life. And so who I am somebody that loves my community. I love to give back. I love family. And I love to be of service.
So that shows, it's so obvious that you do. And I love that about you, your energy, your desire to serve. You can tell those that have a desire to serve versus those who are craving the spotlight. And there's a big difference between the two. I've been in this space a long time. So let's talk about your journey, because how did you start? How were you called into this particular type of service?
Well, service has been something that's been with me my entire career, and I think it started from the influence of my grandparents, my grandfather and my grandmother. I think that the shift into politics and policy is definitely my grandmother's influence. She would always be somebody who would have CNN and MSNBC going and talking to you about voting and talking about, to this day, that is what she talks about. She has her politics on, and she is asking me, do I know what Donald Trump did today, and all this other stuff. And so it started there. And her sisters were home health care nurses. And so I think that's where the health care focus comes in.
Okay.
Because when I actually first went to college, I actually was pre-med and actually changed my major to community health. And I just simply had the belief I would like to make sure that people are remain healthy versus get sick and have to uh, make them well again. And I think it just kind of progressed there. The lessons I learned from my grandmother and my family about giving back, about going to go get educated, but returning to home to do work and not forgetting your family and those kind of things. And so that really, shaped a lot of, the journey that I'm on now. I would say that politically, when we look at the issues that are rising to the top right now, it is so important for a new generation of young people to step up in those roles, like our economy, our healthcare, our civil rights, and the social justice issues that our ancestors and those leaders before us fought for. We're back fighting for those very issues. And so I think that it's very important that those who are called really step to the front lines and deal with that issue. And so I'm so happy to be able to just be in the position to be able to do that at home at a very important and critical time right now.
Yeah. Now, you spent some time in D.C., right?
10 years.
10 years?
I did 10 years in D.C.
You did 10 years. Listen, they say if you do 10 years, 10,000 hours, they consider you an expert in that respective industry. Talk to us about your time in D.C. What did you do? What are some takeaways from that 10-year experience?
Well, my experience in D.C. was an experience that was a test for me, because after returning from undergrad from A&M, I moved back to Dallas and went to UTA to get my master's. I wanted to test myself and say, you know what, before I turn 30, I need to get out of this city and and somewhere where I can make it on. I won't have any cushion. Like, I just got to get out there. You got to remember, this is around 2006, 2007, like when a lot of the economic down, like it was hard to get a job during that time, especially as someone brand new into the job market. So it wasn't easy. And so I was really trying to put myself out there. And where DC came into place is that my community health work, started out in doing a lot of HIV work and working to address the HIV epidemic within the Black and LGBTQ communities. A lot of that healthcare work kept intersecting with policy. It wasn't just about the medical services. It wasn't just about involving community. It always kind of bumped into like policy. And I hated policy. I just wanted to do the work.
Right.
And at some point in that engagement, like locally here, I started getting involved in local, policy organizations like Stonewall Democrats and other organizations. And I just said to myself, I need to go to Washington, D.C. or Atlanta to do like health policy work. So that would either be working in the halls of Congress or working at the CDC. And so I had the opportunity to go to work my first job in D.C. at the National Black Gay Men's Advocacy Coalition as the Communications and Education Manager. I stayed there 4 years and started initiatives such as the Young Black Gay Men's Leadership Initiative and other efforts to build this coalition of Black gay policymakers impacting healthcare, HIV, and other issues impacting the community. After 4 years there, I went to the National Black Justice Coalition, which is the nation's largest Black LGBTQ civil rights and social justice organization, and started their health and wellness initiative, and really brought to life this concept, We Are Family, that really involves the Black family and conversations about how are we addressing the HIV epidemic. So we're all kind of taking our space and understanding how we all have a role in ending the HIV epidemic. And after that, I stayed in D.C. for a little bit longer. I worked at an organization called AIDS United, and then finally I started my own nonprofit. And that started when we were experiencing the first Trump administration. And D.C. wasn't D.C. anymore. And, I started, in D.C. when there was the Obama administration, where people were excited to go to the White House. And we were excited to work with the White House, with HHS, with all these organizations. And so anyway, finally, I made the decision to move back to Dallas, and with that start my own nonprofit organization, the Southern Black Policy and Advocacy Network, and the rest was history. And so moved back in 2019 and been here, and ever since, working. And so it's been so good to be back home.
So, you know, I think that I read somewhere that you were born in District 100, right?
Absolutely.
That's that's very interesting. You know, a lot of us, we say we come back home, but not necessarily to the same exact place of origin. And for you to have been born and raised in District 100 and now serve District 100, I think is very, very unique and speaks volumes.
No, as of this spring, actually living in the house that I was born and raised in. And so, literally, I am literally back in my house.
We're going to talk about that phenomenal house here in just a minute because it is amazing. Like, y'all did okay, we'll get back to that. Okay, it is beautiful. It is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, let's talk about some things that you've accomplished while being one of our state representatives. Let's talk about some of your greatest accomplishments. They are, I know we don't have enough time to talk about all of them, but some of the highlights of some of the things that you've done since you've been serving as state representative.
Absolutely. And so there's 4 areas that I have really focused on making impact in while I've been in the state legislature. One, a concept that we call in the office community stability, making sure we're preventing gentrification, making sure we're addressing the high cost of living and affordable housing and everything, making sure we're addressing, addressing public safety in our communities so that, our communities literally can be stable and people can be stable in the homes that they live in. The other area is healthcare and expanding healthcare access right now. Whether you are not insured or you are insured in this state, you are having problems with accessing healthcare at this very moment. And that's very evident in our state right now. Another area I've worked on is public education and protecting our public education system right now. And last is equality and justice for all of our communities, especially communities that are vulnerable and under attack right now. Black people, brown people, LGBTQ people, those who are incarcerated. And so some of those accomplishments include working on healthcare legislation that would reduce pre-authorization times. And so we have a bill that passed this last legislative session that if a person goes to their doctor and the doctor is known for treating this condition, their insurance company can reduce the actual time or the amount of pre-authorizations from monthly to yearly, up to yearly. And that's very important because that's usually the one of the largest disruptors of healthcare outside of losing your health insurance completely is barriers with pre-authorization challenges that either patients have to get involved with or medical systems have to navigate and are not authorized to provide care until that authorization takes place. Another area is the HIV/AIDS epidemic. During the last legislative session, we worked to get approved a pilot program that would make long-acting injectables for HIV treatment be available on the ADAP or Drugs AIDS Assistance Program and be available. And this is to treat low-income families and those who desperately need HIV care and need stability in their HIV care in order to manage HIV. Another area that we've worked is particularly area of community stability is providing $3 million of funding to Fair Park to build the community park project, which is a project I'm so proud of because it is a long-standing promise that has been made to the residents of South Dallas to be able to give them the park that they need to have for their families and really have spaces that they can live, work, and play in. On the corrections side, we've passed legislation that improves and provide pay raises to officers in the TDCJ facilities. Legislation that would help allocate more vacation time, to these individuals and really help improve what we saw, particularly after the COVID pandemic, was officers not coming to work for TDCJ facilities because a lot of people were locked in, and so we still need those guards there because they not only provide security, but they allow those inmates there to be able to get to their rec time and to be able to really help the facility move. And so that's not just guards, that's cooks, that's other critical, employees in those different, facilities. I think that there's still some areas that are aspirational to me, and that's really working on continuing to work on affordable housing right now. Because whether you are a renter or you are someone who owns your property right now, it is very expensive to own a property right now, and even more difficult is the ability to be able to own property for the first time. And so that's something that we have to look at, whether that be funding programs, education programs, or other programs that really helps facilitate that process. Last, I would say we just have to continue to work on issues in our healthcare system right now, because as I said, whether you are insured or uninsured, you're having problems right now. Whether you talk about the rising cost of premiums or the decreasing availability of benefits and services under insurance plans. Once upon a time, you could take, if you had one of the major insurance companies, in your back pocket, you can go get anything done. You can, and it would be, things that will be covered under the premium that you cover. But now we're seeing, premiums increase every year, while those services, decrease every year. So I'm very excited about continuing that work in the legislature, while continuing to fight the attacks that are happening from the far right now on communities, on their pocketbooks, their education, and just their liberties right now, because we see so many people are concerned right now just about the right to exist without being attacked for expressing their First Amendment rights.
There's so much that was said, and how in the world have you been able to, Venton, I've been around politics for the last couple of decades in this role, and usually it takes a legislator a little while to get his footing, to be able to be as effective as you've been over your last almost 2 terms. How in the world have you gotten in there and been able to overcome? I mean, it doesn't even sound like you had a learning curve. It sounds like you just got in there and started working. How were you able to get in there and just start working like that?
I think you just get in there and start working like that. I mean, as for me, the urgency that I talk about in my community, in my life, is real. It's nothing to play with. It's nothing that does not require the urgency and attention that I put into my work each and every day, no matter what I'm doing. I'm a legislator, a CEO, or grandson. There's urgency in that.
Yeah.
And I think that also getting in with the focus, like literally on the people. I'm not getting in there to be on the news. I'm not getting there to be on social media. I'm getting there to do work to honor my community, to honor the people who came before me, really sitting still and serving in these, important leadership roles right now. And so I take my job very seriously. And I have taken the last 2 legislative sessions very seriously in making sure that I not only go into the work and do the work, but I am successful at the work, because that means results that come back for my district. And so even though it's difficult right now, I'm clear about who I'm fighting for, and who fights with me every day in this seat. And so it also requires just being able to work across the aisle, and find those commonalities, and not continue to exist in kind of this political environment where bipartisanship is a bad word.
Right.
And that's how we get things done. And I think that we have to return to that space.
Yeah.
And we have to engage in ways that just facilitate progress. But I think in this moment, though, one of the most important things that people can do is vote, because I think that determines who are in these critical seats that get to make these huge decisions, and we have to make sure that we show up and have our voices heard right now, because we see that our democracy is clearly under attack, and we have to move in a way that we understand that sense of urgency, and move with that, because if we do not have the elections that we need, to have the ability to go in during the legislative session to move those critical pieces of legislation becomes more and more limited as we become more and more, polarized in our halls of government. And that is what has to change, because is definitely what limits the ability of us to be able to do the work we are voted to do in those roles.
Yeah. So as we're quickly approaching, the 90th legislative session.
Yes.
Quickly.
Coming
soon. So what will be, I got a couple questions for you. What will be some of your focus areas during next session? And do you anticipate it being like the previous one? I know that there were lots of activity. There's lots of activity that happens every session, but last one was a little different.
I would hope it wouldn't be like the last session. I'm going to be honest with you and say the last two sessions, while there have been successes, it has been rough.
Yeah.
And even last session, up to and including Democrats literally having to leave the state to deny quorum to Republicans when they wanted to prematurely redistrict the congressional maps that takes away the voting power of Black and brown communities. The legislative session that brought another round of historic number of attacks on LGBTQ people, the attacks on Black businesses through the various programs, even just attacks on Black students in our centers of higher education, Latino communities, and what we've seen. So many examples. We need to get out of that space. Yeah. And that's where I mentioned in my last response the need and the importance of voting right now.
Yes.
Because we have the ability to replace everyone on the table. Our state reps are up for election. Our governor is up for re-election. Our attorney general, our lieutenant governor, our railroad commissioner, our ag commissioner, like all those individuals are on the ballot right now. Right. And so if we do not change that, there's going to be a doubling down of the things that we saw last legislative session. And we have to make sure that people understand just the urgency of this moment, and most importantly, like the importance of their vote. I hear people say so many times, their vote is not important, why go vote? Like, these are the moments I hope you see and you are connected with the issues of why it is important to vote, because what you see at the White House, you have more and more individuals who are empowered to operate in a place of authoritarianism or something like that, to be dictators, to impose their will on the people, and totally ignore the systems, the traditions, the everything that has been in place to make sure that we have a fair system of democracy. And so I hope that people see that, because again, that's what's going to dictate what happens during those the next legislative session, and our ability to get work done. And we have to make sure that we're sending those right individuals in there to do so. It's so important for people to get educated, ask questions, and just be a part of this process, because there are people that are banking on those very individuals to not participate.
That's right. That's exactly right. Now, you do such a phenomenal job representing us, but you also have a nonprofit, which you've mentioned. Talk to us about that nonprofit, what your mission is, and some things that you've been able to accomplish.
Absolutely. And so the nonprofit is the Southern Black Policy and Advocacy Network. And it was an organization that was started in 2018 to help improve health outcomes for Black communities through improving public policy and advocacy in Black communities in the South. And so our work started with addressing the HIV/AIDS epidemic, and our first project was the Southern Black HIV/AIDS Network, in which we worked to build a system of informed advocates and policymakers across the South, during the first Trump administration to help inform the strategies that were being formed at that time to end HIV by 2030. And during that time, we've worked both in the region of the southern United States while also focusing in Dallas and working to mobilize black leaders in Dallas to be responsive to the HIV/AIDS epidemic. And so the call to action for us has been putting the same effort. If you are an organization or entity that cares about and values the lives of black people, we have to look at the black lives that have been lost in healthcare spaces. Whether we talk about the HIV/AIDS epidemic or many other conditions right now. And so we have to focus on our health right now, because our health is interconnected to literally our ability to raise our families.
That's right.
Our ability to work, our ability to just function as a healthy person, a well person.
That's right.
And so that is what our work does, is focus on building the capacity of those leaders to not provide services, but to inform the planning that takes place on the policy level, the legislation and programs that move to inform what programs and resources are distributed to communities. And I think what's our most important work is workforce development, to build the capacity of more black leaders to be in those spaces, because we know on the front lines of healthcare, you can see black faces everywhere. But when it comes to those boardrooms, those elected positions, those appointed official positions in public health spaces, it becomes less and less of us each and every day, especially in our government. And so I think our work right now is even more important as we navigate historic funding cuts that are happening to healthcare programs, organizations having to do massive restructures on how they are performing services, how are they calling and bringing to bear the communities that need to be served while they're actively being attacked by systems that are supposed to serve us right now. And I'm so honored to also be a part of that work, and it's something that amazing work that I get to do in addition to being a legislator.
So you mentioned that you're doing that work in addition to being a legislator.
Yes.
In addition to about to become a father, in addition to about to become a husband,
All the things.
and in addition to having just renovated this beautiful home. How in the world do you find time to do all these things, Venton? You got more time than the rest of us do, right? You have to.
I have the same 24 hours in the day that everyone else has.
How are you doing all of this?
I work a lot.
Obviously.
Right. I work
Obviously.
a lot. And what's a good way to say this? I am just at a very mission-driven point in my life right now. And I know what I want, and I know what I am working on, and I use my time to get those things.
Yeah.
And my grandfather, and probably so many other people's grandfathers, have had this saying where it's like you know what's important to a person, where they spend their time and their money. And the things that you have just mentioned are the things that are important, in my life right now. The work I get to do and have the honor of doing, but also the ability to have a life of my own, and the ability to be selfish in investing in that time too.
That is not being selfish at all.
No, I'm going to be selfish. I mean,
Well,
I think sometimes
as you should.
I think that sometimes that's a message I have to tell myself, because sometimes you work, and even now I'm not perfect at it. That work takes sacrifice. That work doesn't always have you available at events for family, or even sometimes for friends.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest lessons that I think that's emerging, in fatherhood right now, and even dealing with like a little one, on the way, is that baby doesn't care about your work or what you're doing or anything. It wants the time now.
Yeah.
And there are situations where I've literally had to drop what I was doing to attend to, even just his development.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to leaning into that, because I think that you can only maintain that level of hustle
Yeah,
for so long.
that's right.
And then things have to kind of, be managed a little bit differently. But I think that for me in the last, couple of years, and, definitely since I became a legislator, I've been on full blast.
Yeah.
And now, just kind of getting the time to say, okay, we're here. We know where the restrooms are. We've had some things happen. Now, like, how are you taking care of yourself? How are you taking care of other people around you?
Yeah.
Just kind of being able to do that check-in.
Well, I'm glad you realized that. I really am. I think when we met, you were running full speed, full throttle, all the things, and I was genuinely concerned because you were just running. But one of the things that you did last session that brought a whole lot of attention to your relationship is you proposed. Can you tell us about what happened, how you proposed?
Yes.
All the things?
Picture this. Austin, January 11th, 2025.
Okay.
This was the first day of the start of the legislative session. And I think that there was a lot of things that I was feeling good about, but also like very much so like dreading, because you just knew just kind of the appetite that Republicans had in control to do so much destructive work, and knowing that we would have to go in for the next 140 days and fight that. And so I was literally talking to one of my mentors, Sharon Letman Hicks, and we were doing, she was in town, and we were working together, and I was talking to her about, she was checking in with me, and I'm like, I'm about to get ready to propose to my boyfriend. and she's always kind of thinking strategically and thinking about like the moment and yada yada yada. And she's like, and I was just gonna propose like, after we got sworn in and in the office, like kind of with friends and family and stuff, for the reason that I wanted to make sure that my partner knew that he was a part of my work too, because I think that sometimes we can separate, like, oh, you do the political stuff and I don't. No, like it becomes, especially going towards marriage, like it's just that life just like merges. And so with that, I'm like, you know what, I want you to be a part of this day with me. And I wanted it to be a day that he would never think I would do it on, because that was like my day, but it was like it's our day. Like swearing in is our day. And anywho, talking to Sharon, and she's like, you should do it on the House floor. And I'm like, no, I am not doing it on no House floor and get drug off to jail because we in Texas. And I kind of put it in the back of my mind until literally being there during the swearing in, because there's a lot of protocol when you're on the floor and activity, and I going into my second term, but still learning protocol and stuff like that. But what I knew and what happened was there was a recess that happened during the swearing in and after everybody got sworn in, because there was some more business that needed to be taken care of. And so literally we were told there was a 10-minute recess on the House floor, and do what you need to do, and be back. And so I also knew what was kind of happening is that it was kind of changing my plans to propose, because we were going to be on the floor. We weren't supposed to be, but anyway, let me fast forward the story. At the recess, I'm like, I have to do it now, because this is where everybody's here. Let's do it. And so I literally looked over to Greg, and I'm like, I got to do this right now. Will you marry me? He's like, what? And I said, wait. I got to do this. I got to do this over again. And I literally took a minute, and there's a video out there where I'm literally thinking in real time. And I'm like, okay, let me move the chair and get on my knees. I'm like, hey, I love you. I had a little speech, will you marry me? He had this pause, and he looked at me like, are you crazy? You're like, yeah, but it's and everybody, now at this point, everybody surrounded us. And I saw these pictures, but it was such an amazing moment. And it was a moment that was important, so that Greg could see how important he is to me and how important he is to my ability to be a good legislator.
Yeah.
Because he was actually he was actually the first person I told, like, I was going to actually run for this position. And so he's been so amazing and really being supportive and just really holding it down while doing this work. And so I love him, and I'm so glad we're getting married next week.
Let me tell you something. I don't know if anybody else noticed this about what just happened. You were all cool, calm, and collected while we were talking about legislation and all the things, and you know, but when we talked about Greg, baby, you came up. You came up, you like, yeah, that's my man right there, you know. You could tell, like, there is a whole different level of love that's going on when we start talking about Greg, and I love that for y'all. When I'm with y'all, I'm like, this is what it's supposed to be. This is love. I cannot wait. I know y'all are excited about next week, but I cannot wait for y'all to get married. I'm so looking forward to seeing this.
Thank you.
I am so looking forward. I have y'all's invitation on my desk, and I look at it every day. I cannot wait.
Thank you.
I cannot wait. But anyway, your whole body language just changed. Okay. Y'all, this is my friend for real in real life.
But I will say, like, that's the beauty of, like, balance and having like balance at home.
Yeah.
This work can make you so tense and just so like, ugh. And it's nice to be able to, like, come home to a person, an energy that just like, even just a mention, like, changes that.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so excited about, like, spending the rest of my life with this person, because that's what I get.
Yeah.
Is the ability to just kind of step outside of, like, the service self. I gotta be on. I gotta be this, and I just get to love that, man, and I love that.
You know, it's just so beautiful because, to your point, while you are in this phenomenal role of being one of our legislators, I think who you have that supports you makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
Who you have, and it goes both ways, because I've gotten to know both of you, and I was with Greg the other night at Glorious, because that's where I be, at Glorious. But anyway, it goes both ways. He's the same way. When I mentioned your name to him, there is a total light up. He was like, hey, I heard you got a new boo, but we're going to talk about Benson. We're going to talk about that part too. But we're going to talk about Benson first. And there's this light up, and I just love that for both of y'all and everyone that you infect with this love bug. I just love it. But anyway, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this journey with y'all.
I'm so happy there.
I appreciate it.
Love is amazing.
Love is amazing. Love is amazing. Also, y'all decided to just stack all the things on top of each other at the same time. And
I think decide is a strong word.
Well, what's the word? Because
life did it.
I think y'all did it.
No.
I think y'all. She's shaking her head. I think y'all did it.
What anybody says. It's not how it happened.
That's not how it happened. So how do you renovate? Y'all have moved in the last couple of years. Well, he sold his home. Y'all have merged. Y'all have renovated. Y'all been taking care of your grandmother. Y'all got a baby. Y'all are getting married. You've campaigned. What?
That's what the old people say. That's God. Like, I mean, that's God. I cannot claim where the energy comes from. I do what I'm called to do, and I'm thankful to have been successful in a lot of those moves.
Mm-hmm.
And so, also, what I would say is that is also the power of an amazing partner.
Yes.
And somebody to really be able to hold it, like we hold each other, like, down in that, because in let's go back to something you said as far as, like, the decision. No, there wasn't no decision. All this stuff in the last, like, year just happened. Like, I was in the middle of the legislative session when, my grandmother, came to me, and, 87 years old, just really unable to take care of a literally 3 or 4 story house
Yeah.
that needed work and that needed maintenance and things like that. And so having to navigate like the bigger message, like I need help,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that you can't kind of ignore.
Right.
And so literally during the legislative session, she moved in with us. And we've been taking care of her, and she's been taking care of herself. But it's so nice, sometimes, to be back in the home with my mom. Because it's like I feel like she's getting to know me as an adult, and like the work that I do, because I would always be to my family and to some like friends, like I'm always working, I'm always on the move, and so she gets to like see that every day.
Yeah.
And so that's been very interesting. But again, that happened last April.
Okay.
So getting the whole process, and we don't have a whole lot of time to jump into this, but I think that this dives into like a policy issue that we really have to talk about, is the process that it takes to save the footprint of our communities. And so as we talk about affordable housing and preservation of communities in places like Oak Cliff, South Dallas, West Dallas, East Dallas, you have homes that we talk about generational wealth and transferring homes and yada, yada, yada. But think about the house that mom and dad's lived in for 50 years that has original this, original that, original all that, and the price tag that it's going to cost to not only get a new house, but to bring all of said items that have been taken care of in questionable ways, have to be brought to code, and the expense that it takes to get that. And so we were just really at a point to where we could do that, and it took almost a year. Well, it took over a year, because we bought the house that we're in now, which is the house I grew up in May.
Okay.
And we got literally back in it at the end of this May.
Okay. Okay.
And so that was the whole process of getting her out the house comfortable, getting her to a point to where she could actually go through 50 years of stuff alive.
Oh my goodness.
Then going through a place of emptying said house into storage, and then remodeling said house and looking and finding out all about don't get me started with working with contractors and finding contractors and all that other stuff that it comes with, like doing all that. But it was an ordeal. And, even on top of that, we already had the wedding planned for April. So we expected to be in the house around January, February. And that was about May. And then we got we've been, working on, a child for some years now.
Okay.
And so it just got to a point, we're doing this through surrogacy, that we were matched. And we were just, we were, put in kind of the ball started rolling on that process. But it's been moving for like quite some time. I think that you're just kind of seeing the pregnancy, which happened, in about like March.
Okay.
But like before that, there's been like years of investment of, matching processes and doctor's appointments and all that stuff. So,
So how are you sitting still with all of these amazing things happening, kind of one behind the other? We get married, and then when is the baby coming?
That baby is coming November 26th.
So back to back to back, great things happening. How are you just not jumping out of your skin, or does that happen just behind the closed door?
I jump out of my skin often. Yes, I do. I talk to and work with a lot of my colleagues and friends who are in similar spaces, and I hear them often say like, "Oh, I've been working so hard, and I just haven't taken a vacation in years." And I think that is suicide.
Yeah.
And I think that it is so important to, even in moments to where you can't get a week long vacation, take a weekend, take a cabin trip, take a like just get connected with nature,
Yeah.
and make sure you have those moments. And so it's so important for me to have like those moments to like check in with myself. Like I need to go camping, or I need to go to a cookout, or I need to cook. Like my quickest like reset is either cooking or CrossFit. And those are my things that I do to make sure that I'm set, for the day, because when you're dealing with kind of this much, you can only kind of manage kind of one day at a time,
Yeah.
and just go from there.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how you are at CrossFit, but I know cooking you are excellent at. You are wonderful. You're such a community builder. I look forward to you bringing us all together and you and Greg cooking, and whether it's for Easter or just a karaoke party. Speaking of which, the baby will likely be a karaokeer.
The baby will be an entertainer.
Will be an okay, okay,
He will be an entertainer.
okay. I can see that between you and Greg, an entertainer. So for those of y'all that don't know, both Greg and Venton are quite the karaokeers. Quite the karaoke, and I miss that. We haven't done that in a very long time.
We have. My karaoke is like sporadic sometimes. I need to just like just get back to regularly going. But it's been difficult. I like right now, like with things going on, like working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And one thing that makes things very possible as far as the ability to kind of grow past doing this is having like a good team.
Yeah.
And I said this like literally when I first started doing all this. Like people are asking like, how do you plan to like be successful in this? And it's being able to have a good team and set up in place. And so I think that especially in this season right now, I'm working with a great team that is allowing the presence of, I think that even as a, going into like entrepreneurial, like small business space, like the key to successful like management of an organization is when you learn how to make it like bigger than just you. And I think that I'm getting into that space to really be able to do that. And allowing me to operate as CEO, operate as the member, operate as dad, or and stuff, and making sure that I can wear those hats right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Husband, like do not forget time like with your partner, because I think sometimes in a marriage or in a relationship you can wear all the hats, but the hat that's the most important, and that's the hat to your relationship. And it's important to spend time, date nights, tell them all the things that you said to get them, and do all that stuff, because that's where you could lose your relationship when you give so much to everything else, where there's nothing left for the person who has to hear you every day. Yeah, that's good stuff. That is good stuff.
So with all the things that you have done, are doing, and will do, for someone who is watching that is interested in getting involved, following in your footsteps, what would be your advice?
Find something that you love to do, and find a way for your passion to meet like your profit. Because sometimes, and I think coming from kind of the nonprofit industry, you're kind of trained or made to believe that you got to suffer to death to be able to serve the people. And I would tell somebody that's not always the case. You could thrive, and you can serve, and you should find what excites you, like my work excites me, because that's where the energy comes from. Because it doesn't feel like work. I get up every day because I have a purpose. I have drive. I have motivation, and that comes from also a place I remember in a younger version of myself who was desperately seeking purpose, a desire to be here, to feel wanted, to feel accepted, and now to really be in that place. I honor that by giving it like my all.
Yeah.
Because I remember a place that I was in an earlier part of my life that just wasn't set there, and so that's growth.
Yeah.
And I just value. I value even being in the situations that I am in, and I just don't. I think that sometimes we curse our bills and we curse the things that's happening in our lives, but if those things weren't happening, things could be worse.
Yeah.
And so I don't want it to be worse, and so I'm gonna do what I need to do.
Well, friend, you are an inspiration to us all. You really are. Just the way that you handle so many things well, and that matters. I mean, we can all juggle, but are we juggling well? And the fact that you do that and you serve as an example for all of us that are watching, that you serve our community, but you serve your family. And I think that's so important. And for those watching that don't know that it's not just your soon-to-be husband that you serve. You're serving your family, your mom, your sisters, your family, your community. When I come to your house, it's packed. It's packed. It's packed. There's usually a bunch of folks there that you serve. And I just want to say thank you for your service. I know that in these jobs, they're thankless jobs. I want to publicly say thank you for all that you do for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you, just all your support and all you continue to do to build community and to build spaces for future generations of folks to come along and be just as dynamic as you.
Thank you, my friend. Well, thank you so much for watching yet another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. We will see you next time. I'm your host, Keandra Jones. And again, thank you for watching another episode of Strictly Business Unscripted. We'll see you next time.